Hi, this is Plague Warrior Productions, here to bring you a review of The Suicide Squad by James Gunn. And before we get started, I'd like to talk about my comic book Forerunners on Indiegogo. Unfortunately, the original Forerunners run did not get funded in time, but here at Zion Comics, we never give up. And so we have put Forerunners back on Indiegogo with a lower goal of $500. And it's going to be the digital edition only for $5, or you can get the digital edition with a poster with art by the great Preston Acevedo. So let's go ahead and get started. And I want to say this is going to be all the spoilers, just to let everybody know. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, stop here, go watch the movie, but please come back, listen to the review. So I also want to go ahead and say that the obvious, it says better than the original Suicide Squad. I remember the original Suicide Squad suffered from, didn't know what was going on, the goal was confusing in the movie, and Jared Leto's Joker was awful. So Jared Leto not being in this automatically made the movie better. But let's go ahead and get started with what happened in this movie. And I think that the opening was very interesting in that they pick a cast of characters, including Harley, Rick Flag, who was in the original, Captain Boomerang, along with some new ones, and they send them to go kill Starro, that is on the island of Corto Maltese. So they send them over there. At night get to the beaches, and suddenly one of them has betrayed them to the island of Corto Maltese. There's an army there. They fire on it and just kill every single person except for Harley, of course, Rick Flag, and that's it. And so you're kind of stunned. You're like, oh, okay, I thought this is who we were with. You don't see, of course, that they had a B team go in there, that they knew that guy was going to betray them, and so they sent a B team on the other side to go get it, which is a bit strange because later in the movie she says that they need to go save Rick Flag and Harley Quinn. They say go. Amanda Waller says go save Rick Flag, and then when they save Rick Flag says we need to go save Harley Quinn. It's kind of weird because, number one, why does Rick Flag matter if this is a Suicide Squad and everybody's life is expendable? Then why does he matter? He didn't contain any type of secret information or something necessary in order to get to Starro. So I would have thought that just go ahead and let him die. Now with Harley, it's still a weak argument in that Rick Flag goes, well, she was my friend from... Basically, the argument is, she's my friend from the first movie. That's really the only argument there is for that one. So it's still a weak argument, a little bit better than nothing, I suppose. But, they could have... We know they're not going to let Harley die just because... she's supposedly the star of the movie. And I think it would have been cool, but it would have been very difficult to get the entire old team on there from the very first one and had them sent to the beach, maybe with that one added guy who betrays them. And that would have been weird and would have just kind of messed with everybody. I think, number one, I think that people may not have wanted to see it just because of the old wounds from the very first movie. And number two, it would have been very difficult to get Will Smith back in there and say, hey, you're going to die in 10 minutes. But we'd like to get you back in there. So that's probably why they didn't use the old team. But I think it would have been very interesting to watch that very first team and go in there and then boom, they all, like 90% of them die and you're like, what? So Idris Elba basically takes over Will Smith's role in a very similar position, he's a dude that shoots guns, that is an expert marksman. They seem to be three of those people, actually, because Channing Tatum is basically the same person, except that he does it all in the name of liberty. But I think that Idris Elba, one, his suit is a lot cooler. His helmet kind of looks like a xenomorph head, and it even has fangs and stuff. So that's pretty awesome. And I think that the kid aspect is a lot better in the second movie than it was in the first movie. You know, in the first movie, Will Smith was portrayed as this good guy, even though he kills people, and that he's just, you know, on a bad luck streak, and that his daughter is trying to redeem him, even though he's still a cold-blooded murderer and will shoot anybody for money. So, you know, it's like, okay, you're not really making a good message there. But in the second one, they seem to know that, hey, these are bad guys, let's run with that. And it actually has Idris Elba get into a cursing fight with his daughter, in which they both yell and scream at each other and cuss each other out. But you can tell that Idris Elba still does love his daughter, because she gets caught stealing a smartwatch, and Amanda Waller threatens him that, you know, given the right push, she can end up in the same prison that he's at, and she wouldn't even last a day. Basically, she would die. And so she forces his hand on becoming the leader of her new Suicide Squad. And so that kind of plays a lot better into it than Will Smith being like, oh no, I'm doing this so that I can see my daughter, that the judges will let me see her and stuff and help her with her homework. It's like, no. There is one funny scene, just real quick, where they're going and they're trying to save Rick Flag, and they're killing all these guys in fantastic ways, except that one moment Idris Elba is walking up to these guys, and when the camera moves to them, mind you, they're all trying to kill them silently so that it doesn't alert the other ones. But when the camera moves to Idris Elba, up to these next guys, they're staring right at him. And it looks like they've been there a long time. So it's like, okay, these guys didn't really act for the last 7 minutes of him killing their friends, but that's okay. You know, so it's kind of odd, and I think that they could have fixed that real quick with some editing or a different shot there. Another aspect of the movie that was really weird, and to be honest, I think the reason why they did this is they wanted to keep Harley Quinn in there. They had to figure out some way to make her relevant. Harley's a great character. I think that they could have done a lot better with what she did. But apparently she's the love interest of the president who took over Corto Maltese. And he's like, oh, I just love you because you're a rebel and you hate America. And if I think if we got married, that the people would love me better if I married you. I'm like, where is this at? I don't even see any like posters of Harley Quinn as like the rebel, you know, Viva like Harley Quinn or something. But it's like they're trying to force it in there. You know, I like Harley too, but I mean, make it organic. Don't make it forced. I mean, just put her on the B team, for goodness sakes. But it's like they had to put that in there so that, and then she shoots the president. It's funny, not, you know, in a weird way, because she's talking about bad boyfriends, and she didn't want another bad former boyfriend, so she shoots him. I mean, it's funny, and her escape montage is awesome, very cool, but it just seems a little unnecessary. But I will say that, and I guess she's got to keep the javelin. She's got to keep the javelin for later on in the movie. But it's a wonderful scene. It just seems very unnecessary. She could have been done a lot better. Another beef I have, a small beef, is that it seems to be like a lot of unnecessary moments in the movie that could have been cut. And this whole movie could have been done in like an hour 20 minutes, something like that. Instead, they're making it like 2 hours and 12 minutes. And one of those scenes is Killer Shark, after they place all the bombs, walks up to a room and he sees this fish and he's playing with him for like 5-7 minutes, just hopping around. They're following him. And you're like, what is this for? Why? And it's like, I get it that later on the dam bursts and they come out and it turns out they're mean, and so they start biting on Killer Shark. You didn't need that first moment of him bonding with them. It wasn't like a deep portrayal. It could have had just a moment with the tank bursts and water comes out and they just happen to find these fish, and Killer Shark likes them, and then they start trying to eat at him. That'd have been just as good. Instead, they take a 5 to 7 minute detour of him trying to bond with these fish as they float and try to, mimic him. I do like how everybody's expendable in the movie. In the very first movie, I can't even hardly remember. Was it like one person dies or nobody dies? Something like that. It's like, okay, this is a Suicide Squad. I understand you're trying to keep people for the next movie if it works out. You can't just go and kill everybody. But this one's nice in that everybody's up for grabs. You go in there and there was a bit of surprise. It was like, oh, okay, you just killed him. Not to ruin it for everybody, but they killed Captain Boomerang, which was kind of weird. I mean, he hasn't even faced Flash yet in the movie, and he's a major Flash rogue. And he's gone. You're like, oh, okay. So I do like that. Like how the character history for the different characters in the movie are done better and faster. In the very first one, it's like, okay, let's spend 15-20 minutes talking about each and every character, their psychological hang-ups, their history, where they come from. I mean, even in Harley Quinn, you had that. If she follows Joker, he throws her into the, Axis chemical bath. She comes out, and you're just like, okay. And they didn't do that with everybody else, but they did it with her and Deadshot, because they were the main two. But in this one, it's a lot more organic. You end up knowing Idris Elba's story. The Killer Shark, you don't get to really know much just because there's not much there, but you give a quick little brief about who and what he is. Ratcatcher 2, it's like they wait till near the end of the movie to talk about hers, and it's turning one of the slow moments. So, it's kind of they ramped up the action. When they slowed it down, they said perfect moment to do a little bit of character history, and they ramped it back up again after that. So I do like how they did that. Like I said, I love how the main team has clear goals. First one I can barely remember. I don't recall why they were there. It's like Amanda Waller was hiring them to do something, and then it turns out it's saving her. But she hired them. Why did they have to save her when she was physically there hiring them? It didn't make sense. And the second one, a lot clearer. Hey, go to Jotunheim, blow up this building, hopefully kill Starro, and go save Rick Flag, go save Harley Quinn. Clear goals, understandable goals. Nothing really weird. And they give that little twist there at the end with Channing Tatum's character. So I do like that. The death blow, yet again, another dumb scene. And I think that overall it was just a much better movie. Enjoyed Starro. He was awesome in it. I liked all the characters. Even like the minor characters were well done and nice and kind of funny. Ratcatcher 2, I'm like, this seems like just a throwaway. And she was pretty enjoyable and fun as a character in the movie. So definitely recommend Suicide Squad 2, or The Suicide Squad, by James Gunn. And I think going on my system of 5 in art, 5 in entertainment, I would probably give it a 3 in art, 4 in entertainment. So we're going to give them a solid 7 out of 10. So definitely go watch it. worth your money, worth the wait. Thank you very much. If you please like and subscribe.